Alright, welcome back to the Illari Pylon Spots series. Today we'll be looking at Numbani. As you can see, we're right outside of the attacker spawn. We will be starting with the attackers. Normally you're going to be trying to push for high ground left side, up with your team here. That's how usually most people do it, so, I mean, they're going to be shooting you, just, whatever, just trying to keep you out. Right there is honestly a fine spot because you aren't going to be fully pushing through here immediately. Yes, it can't see inside here, but you won't be fully pushed through here immediately because they're going to be standing here. They're going to be booking out. They may even be here, and that may be a bit too far. And if that's the case, you could just place it right there. Otherwise, right here. And then when they do manage to back up through the doorway, you can then move it up around here. Main reason I don't have it like right above the doorway is because AoE splash damage, whatever. If you manage to get through the doorway, like they back up any point, you can just throw it down about there because it will keep your high ground supported. If your core's still up here, it will keep your core supported. Otherwise, they'd be dropped down. But it can keep. If you didn't already drop down, I'd recommend you playing up here with your pylon in another DPS, watching out main and left side, because this is still supported. It can't really be seen unless all the way over here. Or over here, really. It can be seen from here. And here. But, they're mainly going to be coming from main. And if they do come from, left side, you should be able to, well, the people that are capping point shouldn't allow them to fully walk all the way back here. Otherwise, let's back up a little bit more to the below the stairs. If you don't go up top and you walk down here though, you can just place it right about there. Main reason I don't place it on the ground or this area, even though it does have a lot of more line of sight, is because what if they drop down in front of you? This right here is a good enough spot for it to support you in your core. Moving a bit further now though, you could just honestly place it right about there because it will keep your core up around this area. And if you want to go play high ground up here, or if a DPS is playing high ground, it will also keep them up. So that's a really decent spot. Otherwise, you can also just move it a bit further if you need more consistent healing to you and or whoever is playing high ground. When you manage to push it further, about around this point, you can move it up to here. Again, it will keep your core up and it will keep your backline up. The only way it won't keep someone up is if a DPS is flanking, but you don't need to really worry about that. When you push up a bit further, you can just smack it down right about there. That's a good enough spot. They'll only really see it is if they're playing this building and run down the stairs to check it. I may be wrong, but I don't think, yeah, no, they cannot see it at all, nor can they see it through main at all. So that's just a really good place to put it. If you do manage to push up a bit more, just again, smack it down right about there. Main reason I don't place it like back here is because if they're playing around here, they can see it easily, and if they're on high ground, they can see it easily. And so you can just smack it around here, unless the enemies are about here. In here, they can see your pylon. I don't believe they will fully come over here, but if they do, it is also vulnerable. But this is also more of your space, your area, if you're core, and you guys are here, so you know, I don't think they should be pushing out that much. Otherwise, just again, advancing it more and more, slapping it right about there, because if you're being fronted, they won't be able to see it at all. Your core, your backline will be able to be supported. Main reason I don't put it here is because a bad line of sight, they'll be able to see it if you do slap it down, like right about there. They will be able to break it if they're fully here, but then again, this is your area. They're not going to be this far back into you unless it's like a tracer or on run. And they shouldn't see it from, or shouldn't see it super well from high ground either. Yeah, they don't see it at all from high ground either, so it's, you know, not able to be broken at all. Okay, moving a bit further. Again, you can just place it along the bus side if you are about here, your team's about here. Their team's pushed a bit further back. Again, you won't be able to see it from main, or sorry, the enemies won't be able to see it through main. So that's a good spot to put it. But the only real weakness is high ground and flankers. But besides that, it's a good, you know, it's a good spot because it can support your core and whoever is playing up here. I can't jump up there. Whoever's playing up here and just your backline on low ground again. Otherwise, if you want to place it a bit further, if you're being contested trying to full cap, you can just place it right there. Since their backline's going to be playing back here, their tank and maybe a couple DPS are going to be, you know, fronting you guys here. They can't see that at all unless they are on high ground. And this is keeping your core up. As you can see, it's not like breaking line of sight. And it will keep you guys up if you need healing all the way back here. So that's a really good spot to put it if point is still being contested. Moving it a bit further up, you know, just slapping it up there, you know, pretty basic stuff. Support your core, your backline, yada yada, stuff like that. And they won't be able to see it that much unless they are up on high ground. No, I don't think they'll even be able to see it on high ground because, yeah, the balcony is covering it. However, if you're wanting to play high ground a bit with a teammate DPS, you could slap it here. It's not really gonna give a whole lot of healing. That's also why this is also a good spot. Or an okay spot. It's not gonna be super good because they can just walk up, immediately destroy it. That's why a bit further is up, but if you move it a bit further up, it's more vulnerable to be seen. So that's why that spot is probably the best because they won't be able to see it as much, and it can support you in a DPS if you do want to poke out here a bit. But this is a really confined space. 2 people poking out here is a bit but you know, it is an option. However, if you do manage to push your core up a bit more, up around here, again, this is a good spot. It is very vulnerable to the small room here and this area over here. So that is a thing. I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen, since it does happen a bit, but you do constantly just want to move your thing up. The main issue is you worrying about the enemy's main core and their backline, and they won't be able to see your pylon at all. Unless, again, flanker left side or someone playing in the small area here. Other than that, you can just move it up a bit more when your core is pushed out a bit more. That has a lot more cover, especially from these 2 areas, unless they're fully over here. But then this is your area. This is your core's area. This is your backline. It can support a DPS that's playing up top there. This is your area now. And you don't have to worry about the core or the enemy core breaking it at all. The only real area that you would have to worry about is maybe right side here. then they can run back to their side because you don't have a whole lot of control over there unless you have a DPS or whatever that, you know, is taking control of that area. Besides that, moving it up a bit further. I like placing it around there or like there. Again, I say this for a shit ton of maps. Doesn't really matter a whole lot when you're about to full cap. Main reason I like placing it there a bit more is because I see a lot of people going out right side more than left side. But really, you can just hold on to it until like you see quite a bit of people. Like if they're walking out of left, just throw it down. Left side. If they're walking out of right, just throw it down. Again, the main reason I say it doesn't matter a whole lot, you know, for when you're about to cap is because I probably go into this a lot, but I just want to, you know, drive it a bit further, is when they're walking out, they're not going to be, again, they're not going to be looking at your pylon specifically. They're going to be looking for a touch and to force people off point. Like, they walk out here, they're not going to be like, oh, where's the pylon? They're going to be like, oh, I need a touch here. I need to force them off point. I don't want to get full capped. So, yeah, that's the main reason why I say it a lot. And basically, almost all of the escorts and hybrids. Alright, now we're on defense. For first point defense, there aren't a whole lot of great pylon spots. But there are, like, the pylon spots that you have, they are good. So, yeah, let's just get into it. For first, again, that's just a really good spot to have. Because you're going to be, you know, making sure they don't take high ground. They aren't able to destroy that at all. Even when you're backed up to like fully here and they're like right here, they won't be able to destroy it. Your core is going to be right up in their face. They can't push out fully because they're just going to, you know, you will have a lot more uptime than they will. They won't be able to fully break it unless they fully breach this area here. However, if they do and you need to move it a bit further back, you can move it back there. However, if I think they breach this first doorway and your team isn't like fully back here, I believe you should just drop down. But besides that, that does support your core and your backline a bit more if you're playing back here. Otherwise, I think you should drop off high ground and you could place it around there. If you do drop off high ground, there isn't a whole lot of good spaces or places to put it without it being destroyed. You can also place it right there if you are playing a bit more in the open, even though being in the open isn't a good thing. You need natural cover. So you could place it right there to support your core. However, I do think this is the better spot, mainly because you have a lot more cover. And it also supports you retaking high ground. So that's just a infinitely better spot. If you back up all the way to here, you can place it around right here. You could also place it here, but it only supports this little lane. If you place it right there, though, it supports both angles. And you can just hide, get healed up, you know. Just, that's good. But besides that, I really think that's it for first point, because if you're forced this far back, there's no good spots for pylon. Like, if you throw it right there, oh, they're just gonna see it, shoot it. Not a good spot to put it. So, yeah. Moving on to second point. Right here is a good spot if you're contesting and they aren't fully pushed out yet because, you know, supports your core, supports you back here if you are, you know, poking their DPS, whoever's on high ground, or if you're, you know, poking whoever's on that side. The only real weakness is from here. They could see it pretty easily, but that can also be fixed pretty easily if you just move it a bit higher, which that's good. You can just move it higher, and that basically fixes your problems. However, if you're pushed a bit further back, just again, basically same reason of what I did for attack. Right here, and right here for defense. Again, the core won't be able to see it. I believe, no, they'll be able to see that one if you place it on here. And they'll be able to see it if they go through here. But again, that's the same reasoning. And this should support high ground a little bit, not a whole lot. So if you want to support it a bit more, you can move it a bit more up. But that does make it a bit more vulnerable from their main. Normally, I like to stick with the low ground because, or at least on defense here, because in my opinion, it is easier to control and have your pylon up than playing high ground, since as you can see, there aren't a whole lot of defenses. It is high ground though, so if you wanted to, you could go up here and place your pylon like right about there, because yes, it does have a mini, but besides that, this is the only real cover. You just need to back up, get healed a bit, or if a DPS is there, they need to back up, heal it a bit, you know, just basic, not fully dying to stupid reasons. Otherwise, again, just place it on the van. They won't be able to see it from core. If they walk out to here, from here, they'll be able to see it. Or if they walk up to the high ground, they will be able to see it. But only if they are fully out, like right about here.
Over here.
But that still gives them quite a bit of cover. But besides that, if they are, hopefully you can look a bit and make them not destroy it, but it is a bit weak from there. You won't really have an issue from over here because this is your area. I don't think someone will fully walk out on you from your area. Maybe from here a bit, but only if it's like a tracer on run. Or maybe a soldier, but that is, again, still in your area. That's what you have. They'll be very vulnerable if they come back here. Otherwise, if you need to move it a bit further back, I do like placing it like right about there. Yes, it is vulnerable. If I could place it better, honestly. Yeah, okay. It is a bit vulnerable from this angle, but if you're full on, like just straight up contesting, they won't be able to see it much unless they crouch. And yes, you could shoot through there. But it will also support your core. Otherwise, you can just place it over here if you need it to support your core and your backline more. That is a bit more reliable, but it can be shot from main here. So watch out for that, but it is more reliable if you do need to back it up a bit more. But it adds a little bit less support, but it still, you know, has a good uptime. Moving on to third point. Again, just placing it around here. Main reason I don't place it like up here is because if someone is playing up here, they can break it from right there. However, if you place it right there, they can't break it from when they're on top. This supports your main, your backline, and it doesn't really support if someone's playing up top. If you do have someone playing up top, I guess placing it up there is a fine thing to place it up as. If you're forced a bit further back from main, sticking it in the bushes is honestly a good place to put it, is because they won't be able to see it at all. And it is a little less visible to the high ground, but you also need it to support your core area. So yes, it is a lot more visible. Or, sorry, a lot less visible because it has a little bit of foliage cover. Yet it also still supports your core and your backline area. If you're forced further back, there isn't really good spots other than here. Or like here. And that is really vulnerable to this angle. And someone will most likely take this angle, destroy it. Main reason I don't put it over here is because it's its range is only to like right here.
Over here.
And I feel like the right side is a lot more easier to play. You also want to be taking back control of these rooms. You can play these rooms for cover, and you won't be able to unless you're right here. Or honestly, you can't really play right here if they're, you know, pushing you this far back, in my opinion, because it will be able to be destroyed by main. You'll be able to be poked out by main from that angle. So this is just, you know, provides a lot more uptime besides if it gets broken from this angle. Now for the final one. Ooh, defense was pretty fast on this one. Now if you're just running back, again, it really doesn't matter. I guess you could just throw it up here or right here. It will support you walking out a little bit of the core area if you're contesting. So that is the real main, like, I guess actually good place to put it, because unless they're fully, you know, pushed out to here, that's the best spot to put it, where it won't be broken, where it won't be broken, where it will be keeping you guys up, and will be keeping your core up to fully contest. Yeah. I kind of said, but defense went by really quick. There are good spots, but there aren't a whole lot of spots for defense, at least. So, yeah, that's about it. See ya.